Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's October 27th, and these are your headlines. First up, we've got plenty of stripers north and east of the canal with lots of peanut bunker to feed them. You still got a great shot at getting albies throughout most of Long Island Sound. And we've heard of the biggest blackfish of the fall season so far this year. Stay tuned to find out where that was caught and a whole lot more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
Now, before we begin, just got a couple news items to do. The first one, it's just more of a reminder. I just want to let you guys know or remind you guys that this video can also be heard as a podcast. You just go on to iTunes or Google Podcasts, look it up, look up the Fisherman magazine. You can find it there, and then you can multitask. You know, you can put your earbuds in and type away, or put me on the Alexa and make your tomato sauce or whatever you got to do. But we're trying to make it as convenient as possible, and that's a good way to get your fishing news while you're getting other stuff done. Next up is the giveaway, and I don't know if you saw it last week, but we picked a winner for the CCW plug, and now we're moving on to this Goo Goo Man bunker colored pikey. Glenn from Goo Goo is one of my favorite plug builders, makes an awesome product. And we're going to run this one a little bit longer than the other ones. We're going to run this one all the way out to December 22nd. Give me a chance to catch up on some of the things that have kind of fallen behind on with all the family stuff I've had going on. And you guys by now should know the drill, but basically all it is you go catch a fish. It's got to be a recent photo. You take a picture of you and the fish. And you can send it to me at danderson@thefisherman.com, or you can send it to the number on the screen through text. And I don't care what kind of fish it is. I don't care if you caught it down in the Caribbean, if you caught it up in Maine, if you caught it in your backyard. Freshwater, saltwater, surf, boat, kayak, doesn't matter to me. Send them all in to me, and we'll pick a winner. And we're actually going to do a second place prize this time around as well. We got a Yozuri Hydro Twitch bait, which is their new glide bait, and we'll get that in somebody's hands right before Christmas. And then the last thing is, just going to give a little segue now. We're going to take a look at what's going on this week in the Dreamboat Challenge and the Coastal Kayak Clash.
What a week for past Dreamboat winner Sam Dibner of Woodbury, Connecticut. Sam entered a 16.75-pound bluefish, adding 10 points to his total, earning him the first place bluefish position. He racked up another 9 points for a 12.9-pound blackfish. Keep in mind that past Dreamboat grand prize winners are not eligible to win the grand prize again. If Sam remains in first place at the end of the competition, the second place contestant would be the grand prize winner, and in that case, Sam would assume second place. The standings are now Sam Dibner with 34 points, Rob Carazana with 21, Dean Paiella with 15, and Garrett Weir with 14. The Dreamboat Fishing Challenge is the Fisherman subscriber-only multi-species fishing competition with a chance to win a new Steigercraft 23 Miami powered by Yamaha, along with many other great prizes. Visit thefisherman.com to subscribe and get all the details so you can be part of the action.
Hey everybody, just going to give you a quick rundown on what's going on the Coastal Kayak Clash this week. We only had one fish entered. That was a 26.25-inch blackfish entered by Eric Lopez, which is good enough for third place in the category. The top three in the tournament have not changed. We got Tom Hode holding down third place with 6 points, Bob Wagner holding down second place with 7 points, and Justin Oser still leading the world with 11 points. So let's start things off up on the North Shore. I'm hearing, that the striper migration is starting to wind down a little bit up there, but it's still viable. Still usually get fish into about the second week in November up there. But for some expert insights on what's going on in that region, let's toss it over now to Mr. James Jukes.
So far, so good in this fall run. Again, this past weekend, there was a fair amount of guys that were out, and we did quite well. Saw fish into the 40-inch range. Although there has been tons and tons of smaller fish. Still plenty of bait rolling through. I suspect the fish will still keep rolling through. One of our big issues right now is the past couple of days with this northeast wind has brought the mung in very badly on the island. You can stick to the north or the south of us a little bit in the rocky areas, then you'll be okay. But I spent probably 4 hours last night walking the beach, had to have been 3 or 4 miles, and I couldn't find a clean patch of water anywhere. It will take a couple of days to clear out, but I suspect this weekend, if anybody's out, they'll be able to find some fish. The bait's still hanging around. So we should see plenty more action. It's going to be tough go from here on out to find fish over slot size. But put in your time, you could hit a good one. Everything else this week has kind of slowed down as far as the freshwater side. Haven't been hearing much. My little trout fishing expeditions in the morning have slowed dramatically because of this rain. This weekend we're going to look good again, so get out there and do your thing. But beginning of next week, we're supposed to have more rain, which won't hurt too much, but it may be the wind that gets us. That's it as far as reports, Dave.
And every mile that you travel south from Plum Island, you're going to, kind of catch up closer to the tail of the migration, or the meat of the migration. We're still hearing about some blitzes going off in that South Shore area, Situate, North River, Plymouth, even all the way out to like Scusset down by the canal. But those are blitzes, so those fish are on the move. They're really hard to pinpoint, but basically, if you're in that area in daylight, you got a pretty good shot at finding some fish if you don't mind driving around to find them. And most of those fish have been schoolie-sized fish, but there are fish up into the slot limit in that area. I haven't heard of anything bigger than that, but I wouldn't doubt that there's a few around, especially for those of you out slinging eels or big plugs at night. Going out onto the Cape itself, still the bayside beaches have been the best places to go for stripers on the Cape. And same basic sizes of fish as those blitzes off of Plymouth. We've got lots of schoolie fish in that area with some fish up into the slot, probably the occasional over, and it's been mostly a nighttime thing in that area, and it's been really, everyone seems to be leaning on things like hydro minnows and SP minnows, like small, swing plugs. And, they're doing pretty well out there. Also hearing that the commercial tuna quota is pretty close to completed. In fact, it may be completed by the time you see this video, because it seems like it was right on the edge. But I have seen some giants caught over the last few days. Crab Ledge, the Sword have been the two areas where most of these guys are going. But really anywhere in that region seems to be holding some tuna right now. The outer beaches, I haven't heard a lot. I haven't heard a lot of news striper wise or anything else wise on the outer beaches. Can't say exactly why. But as we kind of get down past Monomoy, the Monomoy rips still have stripers and bluefish in them, but anyone who fishes in that area will tell you, you make that turn, you kind of get around the end of Monomoy and you start heading up into Nantucket Sound. It's almost like the climate changes. And that's where more of the, fall-like fishing is taking place on the Cape. You get up into Nantucket Sound, you start fishing some of those estuary mouths and stuff. There's a lot of stripers in that area. Similar sizes to what we've been talking about. Nothing real big. Maybe fish up to 20 pounds, but most of them much smaller than that. Also, still some albies in that area. You're going to do better by the Vineyard or the south side of Nantucket for the albies. Then as we kind of cruise through the islands and get into Buzzards Bay, it gets even a little bit better. So a few more striper reports coming from that area, a few more striper reports coming from the islands, and togging is really picking up. We got this awesome photo here of a 17.5 pounder that was taken off of Westport earlier this week. That was going to be the last voyage of the reader's boat, and I wonder if he put it back on the slip after having a day like he had. He described it as one of the best blackfishing days he's ever had. Several fish over 20 inches, limits all around, and just a great bite. So it's definitely something to keep in mind if you're fishing out of any of those ports along Buzzards Bay. Up inside the canal, fishing continues to hold strong. Fewer and fewer really big fish, but still great action, tons of bait. And for a deeper dive on all that, let's toss it over now to East and Eddie.
Thanks, Dave. It's a wet morning here in the canal with an east rising tide behind me. Things have been good in the canal. The fishing isn't as good as it was, but there's still a lot of fish here. There's still a lot of bait in the canal, silver sides and peanut bunker. The East End has seen more action lately. There were a bunch of guys at Pips Rip and a little bit west of there fishing the other day, catching quite a few fish, but most of them were small with some slots mixed in. The great John Doble was right in the middle of that. And coming down a little bit west in the canal was Bill Jenkinson, who caught a 32-inch on a bone-colored rocket with a bucktail. And moving down the canal towards the State Pier, Mike Allaire and Vinny Rosada got into a bottom bite there with some, caught about a dozen fish. There was one slot in the mix, and they were using Al Gags and White Fish Labs. And moving down past the Cribben, west of the Cribben, Scott Ewell was not catching anything in a pretty big blitz. There were fish breaking all over the place. And so then he switched lures. He put on a silver Castmaster and caught 4 fish, including a 37-inch. So sometimes it makes a difference when you switch lures. And moving down towards the Bourne Bridge, Hollywood Petrarca caught a nice 36-inch fish. He was using a Guppy Jobo Jr., a white one, and he was riding the lure on the surface of some waves that were created by some boat traffic. And he was riding the crest of the wave when he caught that fish. And you know, that can be a good tactic, because when the lure is on top of the wave, it can lend a better profile so the fish can see it better. And also the waves are known to disorient bait fish, which the stripers love. And then right around the same area, Billy Walsh came to the canal with his friend Joe the Real McCoy. The Real is R-E-E-L. What a nickname, the Real McCoy. And so Billy, they were in a surface bite and using white cotton cordels, and Billy caught 11 slots. And the Real McCoy reeled in 4 fish on this first 4 casts. And actually the week before he caught a 40-inch, and he caught a bigger fish than a 40-inch, but it was stolen by a seal. It might have been Bubba. We named one of the big seals an enormous seal. We named him Bubba. But it might have been Bubba or one of Bubba's cousins. I don't know, but that fish got the seal and had breakfast. The seal got the fish and had breakfast. And then Eddie Lill, an experienced canal rat, Eddie rides up and down the canal on his canal bike, and he has an adopted rescue dog named Kira. And first of all, anybody that adopts a rescue dog is a good person, because those animals need a home. And I'm a dog guy myself, so I applaud him for doing that. But he rides up and down, and Kira runs next to him, and he's got her on a leash. And Kara is such a strong dog. She weighs 52 pounds, but she gets in front of Eddie's bike and starts pulling him down the canal. This is quite a sight, actually, and she loves it. And so then they get to their fishing spot, and Eddie takes a stake, a metal stake, puts it in the ground next to his bike, and he attaches the end of the leash to the stake. And then he goes down the riprap stone bank, and he fishes next to the water. Well, Kara can see him from the edge of the top of the hill there. And so I caught a 30-inch next to him. I was using a Guppy Jobo Jr. and a Green Mac, and Eddie also caught a 30-inch with a I forgot what Eddie was using, but anyways, he caught a 30-inch and a Super Strike. That's what he was using. And when he brought the fish in, as soon as he took the fish out of the water, Kira starts barking, jumping up and down, going crazy. And so we were saying that Kira basically announces when Eddie has caught a fish. She announces that to the world with her barking. And so anybody who knows Eddie knows when he caught a fish, because you can hear Kira barking. So my tip of the week is that I banged my elbow into something. I don't remember, but I hurt my elbow pretty bad. I've been in a lot of pain lately. But the only time it doesn't hurt is when I'm casting. Casting is good for my elbow. So, you know, it's further proof that fishing is good for your health. So if anybody gives you a hard time that you've been fishing too often, just tell them you're trying to stay healthy. So until next time, be safe and catch a big one.
And last up in the region, talk about a little bit of the freshwater fishing that's going on. Roy was busy this week, didn't have time to shoot me a video, but what I do know, largemouth bass fishing has been phenomenal. And even in the night bite has been really good as well. Some really nice fish being taken. But also we're hearing about, like, especially the Cape ponds, good smallmouth fishing on things like Ned rigs and small jigs. And of course, trout stocking is rampant across Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. So any place that you go on any of these websites, any of the state websites, and you'll find the list of ponds that were stocked. You fish any one of those ponds, odds are you're going to catch trout. And that's what I have for you guys this week in Massachusetts. Pushing over into Rhode Island, it's definitely tog heavy in Rhode Island. Just everybody's got tog fever right now, and for good reason. Fishing's been phenomenal. A lot of big fish being caught, especially this week. It's been so flat for most of this week, even though it's been kind of gloomy out there. Just really good fishing taking place in Rhode Island right now. For more on that, let's toss it over now to Captain Coral Aiello of Sarah Star Charters.
Hi Dave, Coral here from Sarah Star Charters with Rhode Island's Fishing Report. Of course, right now is prime tog time. End of October, coming into November is an awesome time to catch these fish. We're still catching them in shallow waters because the water is still warm enough where they haven't moved out very deep yet, but you can still catch them in deep water. I mean, they seem to be all over the place this year. Also, lots of big ones being caught. The striper bite has still been pretty good from shore. There's a lot of bait around that they're chasing, pushing them up on the rocks. So yeah, the fall's been great so far.
Thanks, Coral. Appreciate the report. We'll be hopefully looking for another one from you next week. Word that I'm hearing from Block Island has been things have been looking a little bit better, probably because the seas have been more cooperative. Guys can get out there. Sea bass fishing still very good around the windmills. Probably still the occasional fluke that can be caught out there, although that would be almost a miracle probably at this point, but there's still a few out there. Blackfishing out around the island and around the windmills themselves, always a good bet, and definitely some codfish being caught now out on Cox's and even up closer to the island. Haven't heard a lot on striped bass, at least as far as the dinosaurs out on the ledge go, but I know this is a great time of year to fish the surf out on Block, and you probably got a really good shot at doing some serious damage on slot and 20-pound class fish right now out there. Heading back toward Point Judith, let's toss it over now to Captain John Lee from JL Charters.
I'm sitting in my car right now. Sorry about that. It's been a whole lot of blackfish trips this week. I think we got 5, and I'm fishing deeper. The fishing's been excellent. Today was a challenge. It was funny because yesterday was one of our best trips yet, and today I went out and had to kind of cobble the trip together. So the fishing's good. I'm fishing like 70 to 80 feet and using green crabs and spider crabs, and we're having some good trips. Alrighty, take care. Bye-bye.
Haven't been a lot of Albie reports in Rhode Island. I'm starting to think that ship is starting to, leave the dock here. There may be a few fish still poking around, especially in the western part of the state, Watch Hill, one of the breachways. But Albie's overall seem to be, headed out. But the striped bass fishing has been kind of taking up the slack in that area. There's a ton of bait along the beaches. There's a ton of bait around the breachways. And guys are reporting really good fishing day and night. And it seems to get better with some onshore wind and some wave action. So, keep your eye on the weather. It's pretty flat calm as you can see here today, but later in the week, looks like we may get a little bit of weather that can kick up the surf a little bit. So surf fishermen, head to South County, and you got a good shot, throwing pencil poppers, spooks, poppers during the daytime, or going out after dark fishing the breachways with swimmers and darters. Even all the way out to Thanksgiving, those breachways have the juice to give up a really big fish. So definitely want to keep your finger on the pulse down there. And that's the story that I have for you guys in Rhode Island this week. Moving over into Connecticut. Connecticut is probably the best shot you have throughout most of Long Island Sound to get one last Albie, and I won't be surprised at all if it carries over into November this year. There's a couple different areas that seem to be producing the fish. We're hearing about them from the Western Sound. We're hearing about them from the North Shore of Long Island, and then we're hearing about them from like Niantic Bay and around the Connecticut River. So there's a couple different little contingents of these fish out there that you can target, and doesn't seem like it's been gangbusters like it was 3 weeks ago, but they are out there, and if you don't mind motoring around and looking for them, probably got a decent shot of finding them. Striped bass fishing has been holding strong. I mean, I feel like I've been saying this all year, but the Connecticut River out to the Thames and then Fisher's Island now too, definitely giving up good catches of striped bass in a wide mix of sizes, you know, from 20 inches to 40 something pounds. Those fish are around. The bigger fish are definitely coming more at night or fishing deep water on a boat or a heavy rip. And live eels have been doing most of the damage, although there's enough bunker around out there. You know, you go out and snag and throw a bunker on a circle hook, and you know, you got a real good shot at getting a big fish that way. Still some bluefish in that area, still some decent sized bluefish in that area as well. But the thing that everybody's been excited about is the tog fishing that keeps getting a little bit better. I still have not heard about like an absolute beast from Connecticut waters. We've heard of fish to just under 10 pounds, like 9 and change. And most of those fish are coming from the Eastern Sound. So either they're coming from around Fishers, they're coming from, you know, outside the mouth of the Thames. I've saw a nice fish that came from shore actually at the mouth of the Thames at Avery Point just today. And so that whole area, all those reefs, all those deep water spots with heavy structure are holding a lot of fish, and it's just a matter of time. I mean, every year Niantic Bay seems to put out at least a teen-sized fish. So that's definitely an area, if you're looking to get in on some tog fishing, that's definitely an area I would concentrate on. As we head out more toward the Connecticut River, let's toss it over to an expert. Let's talk to Captain Mike Roy from Real Cash Charters.
Hey, what's up, guys? For this week's Fisherman Report, this is the last week of October, and I like to call it the grand finale week. Over the next 1 to 2 weeks, we should see the last push of the big striped bass in Long Island Sound. If you can find the bait, you can find the fish. So look for that bait, look for the birds working. There's still some big blues around as well, and false albacore. So this is it for good sized fish. And then after that, we should see an improvement in the tog fishing. Water temps in Eastern Long Island Sound are still about 62 degrees. So as those temps start to drop into the 50s, I expect the tog bite to improve, and hopefully the porgies and small sea bass will thin out. That's it. Good luck.
Heading west from the Connecticut River, that's been one of the areas, like from the Connecticut River west to Westbrook and even a little further than that, has been one of those kind of stronghold spots for Albie, so you definitely want to keep an eye there. Also, tons of amazing structure. All those reefs 6 Mile, Southwest, and many of the smaller ones in between are all prime tog water, so that's another area where you can really concentrate your efforts and really maximize your yield if you're into tog fishing. Further west from there, togging has been very good in the New Haven area, and as we get closer to the mouth of the Housatonic River, the striped bass fishing is getting better and better. And for more on what's going on out in the western third of the Sound, let's toss it over now to Max Finch from Fisherman's World.
Hey everyone, Max here from Fisherman's World with another local fishing report. The striped bass bite is wide open as these fish are really schooling up and starting to migrate. They're meeting all this peanut bunker, leaving our harbors, our estuaries, and our rivers on our open beaches. And we've seen some really incredible blitzes. We've seen a lot of fish in that slot fish class, and then we've seen a bunch over slot this past week leading up to the new moon. There's a lot of schoolie action in our estuaries and our back bays, so throwing stuff like small tins, small spooks, bucktails, and small paddletails work good this time of year. They're starting to load up on our deeper water reefs, so diamond jigging places like 28C and 11B on the outgoing is going to get really, really good. There's some monster bluefish around. We've seen fish over 15 pounds the past couple weeks, and they're running back and forth on our beaches, places like Calf Pasture Beach, Sherwood Island, and then outside in the backside of the islands, and coming back up in our estuaries chasing all this peanut bunker. The blackfish bite remains steady. I would say the deeper water is definitely your best bet for a bunch of quality keepers. The shallow water bite, we've seen a lot of shorts, so you really got to work through them to find the keeper fish. The porgies are still biting. I would say they're really moving on deeper water structure now. I mean, they are shallow. Guys are still getting them from some beaches, but you really got to fish the beaches with the jetties and then, the rock piles. Thanks and good luck.
And to wrap things up in Connecticut, we're going to toss it over now to Mr. Rowan Little. We're going to get a little rundown on some of the lesser utilized fisheries we have here in Connecticut.
Howdy y'all, just getting done with a decent day of hardtail fishing. They were very, very picky today. As we get towards the later end of the season, a lot of the fish are on tiny bay anchovies and silver sides. Stuff that's literally like the size of metal shavings. They can be very difficult, but with water temperature still in the mid 60s in Long Island Sound, I would expect this to be an unusually late season. It's not terribly uncommon for them in recent years to stick around into November. That's almost certainly how it's going to be this year. The water temperature shouldn't fall much. We've got some cold nights, but not really much in the way of frost so far. So in terms of weird stuff, I would expect this to be a weird year for the duration of the hardtail run. Keep your eyes out for the late bonito. That doesn't happen as much as it historically used to, but towards the end of the season when the albies are thinning out, look for some bonito to get in on them too. All right, guys, good luck out there.
And last up, we're going to take a little flight down to paradise and hear what's going on down in Costa Rica at Marina Pez Vela.
What a week for past Dreamboat winner Sam Dibner of Woodbury, Connecticut. Sam entered a 16.75-pound bluefish, adding 10 points to his total, earning him the first place bluefish position. He racked up another 9 points for a 12.9-pound blackfish. Keep in mind that past Dreamboat grand prize winners are not eligible to win the grand prize again. If Sam remains in first place at the end of the competition, the second place contestant would be the grand prize winner, and in that case, Sam would assume second place. The standings are now Sam Dibner with 34 points, Rob Carazana with 21, Dean Paella with 15, and Garrett Weir with 14. The Dreamboat Fishing Challenge is the Fisherman subscriber-only multi-species fishing competition with a chance to win a new Steigercraft 23 Miami powered by Yamaha, along with many other great prizes. Visit thefisherman.com to subscribe and get all the details so you can be part of the action.
Hey everybody, just going to give you a quick rundown on what's going on the Coastal Kayak Clash this week. We only had one fish entered. That was a 26.25-inch blackfish entered by Eric Lopez, which is good enough for third place in the category. The top three in the tournament have not changed. We got Tom Hode holding down third place with 6 points, Bob Wagner holding down second place with 7 points, and Justin Oser still leading the world with 11 points. That's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. Hopefully you're going to find them useful. Holidays are coming, so this might be a good time to ask for someone to renew or give you a new subscription to the Fisherman magazine. It's the best $30 you can spend in fishing. And if you want to check us out, get a little deeper dive on what we offer, head on over to the website at thefisherman.com. There's enough free content on there to give you a real good taste of what we offer. We have 3 editions that cover New England, Long Island, and New York, and then New Jersey and Delaware. You get access to all those. You get the reports that cover that entire portion of the coast. You get articles that cover every single type of fishing that is done in that region. And we also offer all kinds of videos. We offer these videos. It's the best $30 you can spend in fishing. Definitely want to check that out. But at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing down there so you get a notification every time we post something new. Appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.